this, we're going to go over melodic sketching. This is probably one of the best skills you could actually work on, especially with notation. One thing you're going to find with film score and pretty much any, even like a symphony theme, they're usually pretty basic, and there's really not a whole lot of syncopation, like you would find in like a vocal line or a guitar solo. So sometimes some of the simplest things that you do are actually going to be better in many cases. But one of the things that you should actually really work on is this. You should actually have a sort of intention. What is your intention here? Does it to sound dark? Let's just write this in. Let's say dark and mysterious. That's your intention. Know how to get those sounds. Don't dig around. Actually know this. So if I just improvise, for instance, I know that if I go start in minor, chromatic median shift to another minor key will work. Half step modulation to another minor key, tritone, chromatic median. Well, this will accomplish this. So you're eliminating guesswork by knowing your intention and knowing how to get that sound. So let's go ahead with my favorite. Nobody ever talks about comical much, so let's just do this. And in fact, we'll do comical and minor. With the right approaches, minor could sound very comical. So let's just call it Bugman's theme. We're sketching out a theme. Minor. So now we have an intention. Okay, we're intending to write a theme with a little bit of a minor, playful, comical feel. And don't be afraid to do, let's just go ahead and start. Let's do something with just a pulse, like very typical pulse. Like this, okay? Nothing difficult. Don't be afraid of typical pulses. It's like being afraid of 16th swings, So we're going to do something like this. Unusual augmented 6 resolution, very Tchaikovsky-ish. So if you didn't know this, you could actually have the augmented 6 interval as the lowest note and still resolve to the 5 chord. You've learned a new move, possibly. So one of the most comical ways to present this would just throw it at pizzicato strings, and we'll just use it to a full ensemble pizzicato because we're sketching. I don't usually do chord progressions first. I usually write melodies, then harmonize them. However, I know most people usually write chord progressions first. So I stopped it and actually wrote this in to save time. Here's the full sequence now in Piz. Tempo may be adjusted a little bit. We're to leave it as is for now. It's actually kind of slow. But I'm going to introduce a solo bassoon. Why? Because bassoon with this kind of boo-da rhythm in Piz can create a comical sound. Again, remember, most themes are actually very simplistic. So there's always a time and place for simplicity, and keep that in mind as I write this in here. Now that you see it, I'm going to cut it out. Bassoon is a good choice for comical. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the tempo around 120. So I'll write around this harmony. It's the opposite of what I usually do, but we're going to go ahead and do that. Something interesting happens though when your ear becomes really developed. You start to hear little melodic fragments anyway. So we have a phrase. It's very stale by itself, of course, because there's no articulations. So one of the keys to melodic writing is having a lot of similarities, and we'll actually help this along with the articulations. But right here, we're just going to follow the harmony. And then have a similar ending to what the prior bar had. Rhythmically. Similarity. But we'll make this one a quarter. So without articulations, it's not really coming to life. I'm just sketching out the basic melody. We'll make it come to life. Let's actually have a phrase that's very similar to the first phrase. With a slight change though, because I have an idea for the next bar. So the first bar and the third bar are very similar. Remember, similarity, similarity, similarity when creating melodies. I want to fit this B half diminished. So I'm just going to use chord tones. And it fits nice with that augmented sixth chord. Same notes. Which creates kind of a closeout. It closes out with a half cadence, but here's where the most important part comes in, is your articulations are really going to make something come to life. This sounds very bland, okay? So the playing style and techniques are going to actually have a little bit of an impact on this, on how you perceive it, even to make it more comical. So I'm just sticking a dynamic, and what I'm going to do is start shaping this little melody, okay? Let me resize this. Maybe it's as good as I'm going to get without it getting stuck out of the screen. So I'm going to just go ahead and stick a couple of short notes on the first two notes. And we'll actually use some, let me see, some grace notes. The grace note will help create some comicalness, and we'll actually slur it a little bit. Well, not a little bit either, it's slurred or it's not. The end of the slur, shorten the notes, and then we'll just do this, staccato. So the first phrase comes to life, we want to get into the second phrase. We'll just go ahead and make these short notes, or staccato, whatever you want to call them. And we'll actually stick another grace note in there for consistency. Similarities, and we'll do the same exact slur scheme. We'll go ahead and stick an accent on the quarter and tell them to hold it as long as possible. So you see how it starts to come to life when you start adding these small little articulation details and similarities. I'm going to go ahead and make these all short notes for now. And now that I'm thinking about this, I don't want them all to be short. I want to stick that grace note slur scheme in here. We'll remove a few dots. Stick the grace note slur scheme right here. Probably could have kept the dot, oh well, on the D. Since I'm only doing 4 bars and don't know what comes next, I'm going to go ahead and accent with hold as long as possible. Came to life, but I sound a little strange bug error here where I put a little dot there on the grace note. Put a little, I gotta get rid of that. That was a weird bug. I've never run into that before. So now we have a little thematic thing we can use, a little sketch. We've sketched something out. This is one way to go about sketching, just throw in basic chords and what specific instrument you might have in mind. You may change later. We're going to go ahead and end it here because we came up with at least something we could work with. You could always start from scratch with the same process and try something different. The key elements are the intention, know what you're intending to sound like, and then going about learning how to shape that and using things that help you accomplish that sound. Remember, with themes and everything, simplicity is often the best route because you're not writing a vocal line and you're not doing a guitar solo. Don't be afraid of common rhythmical techniques like boom, da, boom, da. Even though it's really simple, it's like being afraid, like I said, of swing 16ths. Can't use swing 16ths because somebody's already done that. No, you can't think like that.